Hey, welcome to the Revenue Accelerator podcast with Kat, the lead boss, as your host. I have Melony Buenger here with me, who is going to share a little bit about how you can increase your revenues leveraging the gift of God. Melony, can you tell us a little bit more about you and just the amazing gifts that you provide your clients?
Thanks for having me here today. It's wonderful to be here, and hello to everybody from Portland, Oregon. What I love to do is I help people ignite their God-sized goals and to put God in the foundation of their business. We all have a unique gift, I believe, that God gives us, and taking a look at that gift so that we can create income, impact, and influence to bless the world.
Oh, I love that. So how did you, because there's saying God-sized goals is a pretty God-sized statement, right? And it is something that a lot of people might shirk away from. So how did you step into the confidence of being able to really claim and own this niche?
Well, I would say just in a really short little nugget, I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. And a few years back, I lost 5 people in a very short period of 9 months. So when I came out of that 2-year grief phase in my life, I knew that I wanted to do something that made a difference and leave a legacy. And so I started looking at that and how can I make every day count? And I knew that if I was comparing myself to somebody else, that there was other women who were and men. And so I just really wanted to help people know that the gifts that they have and who they are makes a difference in the world, and to use those to make a difference every day, but also that when we are entrepreneurs, we are leaders, we are influencers, that we can bless the world by putting God in the foundation and spread it. And when we have that mission or that vision, that passion, it's exciting and people want to come with us. So for me, it's just through a lot of prayer and leading. And I believe from God, He's the one that gave it to me. So those goals are really big, and they're something we can't achieve on our own.
I love that because, I talk about sometimes that just the sheer factor of oneself, right? The oneself being able to imagine something possible just means that it's possible, right? That it's actually something that you can call into your life. So how do you work with people with helping them build that foundation with God included to grow and scale their businesses and generate more revenue? Because really, a lot of times, having been brought up Catholic, this whole money and God thing doesn't always
Yeah.
balance out, right? There's this like sacrificial, I can't be religious and be wealthy.
Well, the truth is, God wants us to be able to bless and help more people,
Mm.
right? And so we pay pastors, right, so that they can do that. So that's their job with our tithe and doing that. And as a coach, I can do more. I also run a nonprofit. So simply to put it really quickly, one of the things that I do, and I had to learn that you can't serve everybody unless you can serve yourself first, take care of yourself. So we have to put our oxygen
Yes.
mask on first. And a lot of times I still do bless people with my program, but I sell 10 and then I give one away.
Well, tithing, right? That 10%. That's awesome. I hadn't even look, it's in quick mental math. I'm not known for it, but every now and then. So how do you help people learn to do that? Right. So this working to generate more money in their business, but also, and this is very unique from a place of rest, because that doesn't always reconcile in people's brains.
Okay, so I think a lot of us have this God-sized goal. And so, you might even know, like, not know what is a God-sized
Right. I
goal.
was going to say, we
And
should probably talk about what's a
so
God-sized goal.
if we can just clarify that for a minute,
Yes.
because sometimes it's so big, it's something that we can't do on our own or we can't imagine. So, for instance, when I
Mm.
started my nonprofit, I really felt like God was helping me, wanting me to help 40 women and give them a Christmas. And I knew that wasn't something that my family and I could do personally. So I had other businesses and friends help do that. But that has grown into last year. We partnered with 10 different shelters and organizations. And now, really, if you were to ask me what I want, is I would love to have a safe house of my own for courageous beginnings. And then really I have goosebumps when I say this, so I'm just going to speak it in. I would like to have one in every state in the United States that is able to be a safe house to help. That is a God-sized goal. That is something
Yes.
that, starts small, or we have a vision that keeps growing. It's something bigger than us. It's something we cannot achieve on our own. And I believe to achieve it, it's the divine appointments and assignments that people line up, or doors that people open up, the resources that come to us when
Mm.
we share our passion and say, this is what I'm called to do, and that we do it to glorify God.
Oh, that's so amazing. And how, like, I just like that vision of what you have is just overwhelmingly beautiful. And I just like when you say God-sized goal, that's exactly like the perfect explanation by using your own as an example. So how can, but again, at the same time, when you think about this huge goal,
Mhm.
a God-sized goal, it it can also feel very overwhelming, and a lot of people equate these big goals with lots of work, and
Mhm.
that's not actually the equation that you put out there for people. So how can people do and accomplish this without giving completely of themselves,
Right.
like from themselves?
Yeah. So that kind of goes to your work from like how I talk about working from rest. And
Mhm.
I think like we have to realize like it's so big. Like, what does that big really look like? And then a lot of times when you look at your calendar and somebody would ask you, they would say, "Hey, Kat, are you available on Friday at 3 o'clock?" And you might say yes or no.
Mhm.
Well, I help my clients kind of flip their calendar all upside down. And what they do is they take a look at what fills me up.
Mm.
What how can I serve from a full cup so that when we're serving, we're not serving from a cup that's like 3/4 full, half full, all the way full, but really where you're serving from the saucer. If you had a teacup and all the juice that was, or the spillover,
Nice.
that was
Yeah.
the saucer, that's what you're giving away and that's what you're doing. So I help people strategically look at that. I help people, if they have a family and a business, make their mission for their family and their business in alignment so
Mm.
that it makes your yeses and nos very powerful.
Mhm.
So when you would say it, someone asked you to do something on Friday at 3 o'clock, you could say, is that in alignment with my family? Is that in alignment with my mission? And so it would make it a lot easier to say yes and no. And then whether you were taking care of yourself or not. So that for me actually was one of the most life-changing things that happened after I came out of that grief cycle, was learning how to do that because I had so many things on my plate and a lot of responsibilities. And so I believe that that's one of the things that's so powerful that we can do to do that. So I look at that individually with people, with businesses and their families, and individually so they can do that. And then you can share your mission and go forth that way.
I just want to like underline that of like flipping your calendar upside down. So powerful that I'm actually writing it down. Because I want to make sure that we capture that and people understand that really this coming, because filling your cup doesn't necessarily mean just getting massages, right? So there's a lot of like, it's not just bubble
Yeah.
baths and massages. So what would you recommend for people in order to help them with flipping that calendar, right? In terms of filling their cup up, like what does that look like outside of massages and bubble baths?
Okay. So I have a whole system that I walk people through, but I'm going to share one thing that I really did because my calendar was so full.
Mm,
So first of all, think about when I first started doing this, think about the things that would fill you up, what would bring you joy. And keep in mind that can be different for you than your spouse
right.
or so what I did, and this is just simply, I took the first Wednesday of every month. And that was a day that it was a non-negotiable day. If somebody asked me to speak that day, I would say no. If somebody asked me to go to a networking meeting, I would say no,
Mm,
because that was my day that was set apart for me and I had to put myself first. And it was really, really hard. Like I would go camping and I was still trying to lead meetings from Zoom in my, and so the piece is that you have to say, you have to also be held accountable. So when you're going to do that, I'm going to encourage you to let your team or your assistant know that,
mhm.
hey, this Wednesday is what it is. And like, we can't schedule anything here. Now, there were a couple life things that came in and I did, sometimes that does happen. And so I would move that day, but I had to have one day a month. But the blessing in that is for me, it was getting out of my office and being with friends, like people at church that I would pass by and say, oh, Melissa, we should really get together. And you keep saying, I would love to sit down and have coffee with you or to go to, to do something with you, but there never was the time. So
Mm,
the beautiful thing is that now I could be in Costco shopping and I would say, oh my gosh, Melissa, it's so good to see you. Let's get together. And I'm like, what do you have going on the first day the first Wednesday in
yes.
December? And she would say nothing. And I would say, okay, block from 10 to 2. I don't know what we're going to do, but write it on your calendar. I know I have the first Wednesday in December open and we can go do something. We'll figure out what it is, whatever we want to do. So it gave me that freedom and it let me look forward to something. So if I was grinding all month and working,
Mhm.
um, that day let me fill myself up. But I also started using the first week of that month to set myself up for what was I going to do the whole month.
Nice.
so that I was ready before I was pouring into my clients. And I was
Yes.
serving from a full cup. So that was one of the things. So one day a month, you guys set aside that for things that are going to fill you up, and then have somebody hold you accountable, because it's really, that's easy to slide back into.
Yeah, it really is. And looking at what that accountability looks like, whether it's, your spouse, but as entrepreneurs, our spouses don't always necessarily understand. And looking at where can we create that for ourselves externally. So hiring a coach like you, like you said, the assistant, all of that is phenomenal. And I love this idea. And I've heard this before, if it's like, it's putting the big rocks in first, and then you put the medium rocks and all that, and they all fit. But if you start with all the pebbled sand, you're never going to be able to fit the big rocks in, because there's going to be all this resistance. So that's awesome. You're just like, let's empty the cup and fill it the way that we want. So can you tell me how you help people use their gifts, right? So there's God-given gifts that we all have, that we're born with, that we've developed, but how do you use those to generate revenue? Because there's a lot of mindset things that happen when we're saying, I'm going to make money from something that I'm naturally able to do.
Well, first of all, a lot of times we have to identify what those gifts are. So I
Mm,
help people do that. So I'll use an example. I am a huge visionary. So I am really good about looking at ideas, helping people come with packages, creating signature systems. So I will work with people, help them identify those gifts and things that they do naturally, and help them create signature systems that they could possibly create, as evergreens, or coach people through, or teach people how to do, and that piece. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. Um,
the God-given gifts, how to find them. You help them find
oh,
them, and
okay.
then
Sorry. I apologize. So, when I help them find them, I just, you know, you have to identify what they are, and then you realize that, here I go. Since I'm a huge visionary, I apologize, you guys, the details. I'm a huge visionary that, partner with somebody, or finding somebody who has the gifts of details, is going to help me, because they see the little areas that I don't.
right.
And so if you think about it, like, some people are just waiting to be asked, because they want to do something, and they're, like I said in the very beginning, they're comparing themselves, like, well, I couldn't be a speaker like that. I wouldn't get up on
Mm,
that stage and do that, or I could
there's the
never plan an
monster.
event like that, right? That stinking thinking monkey. But where they're so beautiful at is they are a greeter. They are a person that can help register people. They're a person that can help do the emails, right? So helping them figure out, where is that part where you're at. Like, one of my clients right now, she is she helps people with their money.
Mm,
And I've helped them come to her, create her systems, and look at that. And in the last month, she's more than doubled her income. I have
mm,
another person who puts on events. And right now, with COVID the way that it is, we are not really meeting in person. So we're thinking outside the box, like, how can you create an online experience online? And we're creating a package together like that. Or how do you create a centerpiece and create the set for when you're appearing online? And she's putting packages together, which is her gifts that are natural. A lot of people don't know how to put a centerpiece together. Like,
mm.
they'll say, like, I'm not crafty, I don't know how to do this. So she's doing a step-by-step thing to teach people how to do that, and to be able to create revenue. So it's really looking at, what are your gifts, and then who do you want to impact, and what difference are you going to make? And really, when you look at that, like, um, we all need to make money, we all need to make a difference. And so it's those, singers are given the gift of singing, and a lot of them make money. So it's a mindset. You have to mindset shift and think, how am I doing this, and where can I do that? And of course, we're doing that to bless others and to take care of people. And there's a full process of that. I hope that helps. But
Yeah.
really, it's taking a look at what comes easy to you doesn't necessarily come easy to another person.
Right. Well, and it's important to charge for it, because if we were to give everything away for free, the people that are consuming the information may not actually get into action. So it is actually in service of other people to charge a certain amount, so that the person actually implements and has that accountability and has that structure to be able to get the results that they're investing in. I love that, all of that. So what would be the best way to like identify maybe one, because you talk about God gifts, right? So there's multiple things that we're great at. So what would be a great way to start identifying like maybe one thing that maybe we're dismissing as a gift, that is something that we could actually be helping with increasing our self-worth, or increasing what we're charging and all that.
So the first thing is, what does everybody come to you about? What
Hmm.
does everybody ask you to do or to help with? That is just something that's totally natural that you do. And a lot of times that will relate to your God-given gift. Or what do you like to do that brings you a lot of joy?
Mm.
I think a lot of times we think it has to be a hard thing, and it's not.
I love that. I mean, simplicity is also, it's definitely something that we dismiss, right? Because why would it be this simple? Don't I have to struggle harder to get a certain revenue goal?
Yeah, and the other thing I would say right now for someone who's listening is to if you don't know or you're like, "Yeah, I wanna do it, but I don't have the time," kinda thing, to just really start saying like, "I'm open to this. God, I'm open. What is it that you want me to do?
Mm,
Or, what is it that maybe I've forgotten about that, I haven't done?" And those things will start surfacing, and you'll start
yes.
seeing it's just to be open to seeing them, a lot of times they'll come forth.
I love that. And I think that that's even a strategy that you can leverage in other areas of just, asking, am I on path? Am I doing the thing that I'm supposed to? Am I going to achieve the goals that I want? And like allowing yourself to be guided, instead of in the space of where a lot of us tend to go into, which is this push, push, push. And you're kind of, you got blinders on, but when you're opening up your field of perception to be able to see what else is there and get receiving the validation instead of trying to seek it out is really is powerful stuff, and actually demonstrates how much of a connection you can have with God, source, universe, whatever that spiritual inclination for you is. So I know you have like an amazing gift that you want to share with everybody today. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's called the God Size Goals Roadmap. If you go to my website, you can download that. And it's just a great way for you to kind of take a look at like, what is my God size goals? What would what could they be, or where are they? Who do I want to impact? Kind of walks you through that process, a little deeper dive into that to help you. And if you have any questions, personal message me. I'm really I'm happy to help people. It brings me so much joy. I love to hear about your God size goals because it's a lot of times we know somebody who is just waiting for that same thing so we
Mm,
can connect people, or I just love to see how they grow too. I mean, that's the most amazing thing because sometimes they start someplace and they just get so much bigger. I would have never thought when I started that, just doing Christmas for 40 women would turn into wanting to be in 50 states. And a
mm.
lot of times, we only see a little bit because until we do a little bit, we won't see the full picture.
Yes, that's amazing. So, do you have any parting words for anyone listening right now who maybe is feeling a little bit intimidated by their God sized goal, or who's trying to really push and realize their God sized goals? Woo, tongue twister.
Yeah, this is what's coming to me, so I'm just gonna speak it now. That there's a song by Matthew West that says "Do something," and it talks about, "I see this," right? Like, I see people hurting, I see people hungry, I see whatever, or sometimes there'll be something in us that, irritates us or, like, we think needs to be done, and I would say that God sent you, and it's time for you to do something, and, it can be something small that grows into something big, and I just want you to know that I believe in you, and I'm praying for you, and have a blessed day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Melanie, can you tell us your website address again to make sure that people can get there?
Oh, yes, it's melonybuenger.com, and I'll just spell that out. It's MELONYBUENGER.com.
Perfect. And guys, that'll be in the show notes for you guys to click on. Again, Melanie, thank you so much for sharing all of this today. And guys, don't be afraid to chase and achieve those God sized goals.